Hi, I'm Annie Matson, founding partner and CMO with the CMO Syndicate. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, I'm Lena Kalia, founding partner and CMO with the CMO Syndicate. Welcome. Today we have a really great topic for you. Ani's going to take you through some recent research around the notion of digital trust and how it has a direct correlation to business growth. And there's going to be some interesting information here for executives to think about how you earn digital trust and what you can specifically do to earn that trust and maintain it with your customers. Why is it important? Well, throughout this entire pandemic experience that we've all shared, more and more people have been putting more and more of their time, their effort, their lives, their data on the internet and in digital channels. And so we have an expectation as customers that companies are going to protect us and protect our data. And if you don't protect our data, we're willing to walk with our wallets. And so we'll talk about that as we go through this presentation. So take it away, Ani.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Lena. So let's start by just looking at what's happening in the data records, hacking out there. So the most recent chart that I've seen from Statista looks at records from the Q1 of 2020 to Q2 of 2022. And you can see how many data records have been exposed worldwide during this period of time. And if you see that huge spike in the middle, that's about 125 million records being exposed in Q4 of 2020. That shows you how active hackers are out there and how many data breaches are happening. It just shows you that this is real, that companies have responsibility to protect their customers' data and their employees' data. So McKinsey did a recent study, I think it was in May of 2022, and they did a study by interviewing about 1,300 businesses and about 3,000 consumers worldwide. And they asked questions about digital trust, and from a consumer perspective and from a business perspective. And what they found out is that digital trust is really correlated with a company's growth. So the more digital trust you have earned, that actually had an impact in your growth and your revenue at the end. So they were both linked. So
But wait a second, let's take a step back for a minute. Let's define digital trust. So why don't you talk about that for a minute?
yeah, so good question. So digital trust is really the confidence that consumers have in an organization to protect their data. And they can do that in many ways. But one way is to protect their data. One way is to enact certain cybersecurity policies and also be transparent. A third is to be transparent about AI policies and how are they using AI technologies to use a customer's data for communicating or providing better services to their customers. So when you do all of these things, right? So once you protect your customers' data and you have the right cybersecurity policies in place and you have the right policies for AI technology usage, you usually are protecting your customers' data better. What's on top of it is you can do this, but also you should communicate that, right, with your consumers and tell them what you're doing to protect their data. And that actually increases the propensity for them to trust you more.
That's really interesting.
Right. So if you go to this slide, and this one shows that 70% of consumers, the ones who responded from the data, from the research, said that once they selected a company and bought products from the company, they actually were very comfortable and trusted that the company protected their data. So, so that's good news from a consumer perspective. But when you look at it from a company's or an executive's perspective, they know that they've had at least one data breach in the last 3 years, and they're not very confident about their investment or how much they have invested in protecting consumer data. So there's a little gap there, and that means that organizations have an opportunity to invest more in protecting a consumer's data and also communicating that with consumers so they can increase loyalty with their customers.
If they don't do it, though, what happens?
if they don't do it, they will lose customers. So customers will walk easily, will walk to another brand if they do not see clear policies on data protection. So if it's not clear to them how you're using the data and how you're protecting the data, then they will walk and they will try other brands. And this chart shows that, this chart really shows it very well.
Oh, do customers really know how to protect their own data?
The quick answer is no. They don't know. And that's why I think that responsibility falls with companies to actually educate consumers about data usage. What do they do? What do they do with the data? So consumers are just beginning to learn, right, how their data is being used. They're just they're trusting you with their identity. They really do not know the extent that companies can go to work with that data to provide personalized services. So you have to be clear and communicate with them what you're doing with their data, what type of AI data policies you're enacting, and tell them clearly about it. And once they see that you've clearly outlined what your policy is, they will trust you more and continue to buy from you and will not walk to other brands.
That's great insight. So what do digital trust leaders do differently as organizations?
So digital trust leaders set more goals than other organizations. And the goals that they set are really the additional goals that they set have to do with earning trust and digital trust. And I'll share with you that there's another study that's out in the industry, that it's called the Edelman Trust Barometer. And every year it's annual, and every year they come up with it. And I looked at the 2022 one, and it shows that consumers do not trust governments and media, but are actually putting a lot more trust in companies. So companies that are setting more goals to earn a consumer's trust actually are working actively towards it, right? Teams in operations, in IT, and marketing are working towards it. And at the end, they're delivering on consumer trust by doing many things, by enacting certain policies from an operations perspective. And another way is by including transparency about AI usage into their mission statements or other statements that they make as an organization. So they set more goals, and by meeting those goals, they're actually earning more trust. And then by earning more trust, they're really influencing growth and business growth for their organization.
So what you're saying is the goals that the C-suite is setting and that the board is setting isn't just about a revenue goal. Data protection and securing digital trust among the digital trust leaders are also setting those specific operational goals from the top.
Yes, and it's become a strategic imperative. So for these organizations, it's a strategic imperative. For the rest of the organizations, it might not be a strategic imperative, and it needs to become that so they can earn trust and actually, gain the trust of their customers and grow more.
Yeah, this piece of information was really surprising to me as how important the consumers care about digital trust versus other things when they're making selections.
Yeah, so it's the same, right? So back in the days of marketing, you worry about pricing and delivering the product on time to your customers. And now consumers are looking at the whole package. They're looking at price, they're looking at descriptions, they're looking at speed of delivery, but they're also looking at how the company and the ethical and trusted reputation of the company. And also they're looking at what are companies doing with their data and the amount of data that you require from consumers to have a transaction, right, with them so they can buy from you. So very important. So that's why when you look at it from a product perspective, it's a whole picture. Trust is part of the whole picture of what you're delivering to consumers, not just the product and the price and the speed of service.
Yeah, it seems like the digital trust messaging, if you will, almost needs to be perpetually on everything to continually enforce and reinforce how much every company really cares about what they're doing with customers' data and using it efficiently and well without putting customers at risk.
Right. And isn't it surprising that not all organizations do that? And look at that opportunity, right? That gap, that opportunity for growth out there. All they have to do is enact it and then communicate it with their consumers so they can, gain their trust and then enjoy the growth.
Yeah, we know it's not easy, but it's something you can't leave on the table. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks. How much more growth? If you do all this work, you invest in all this capital, you align your organization correctly, can you get really double-digit growth out of this?
Well, the McKinsey study says yes. So digital trust leaders, these organizations who have taken all the steps to protect their customer data, show that they are 1.6 times more likely to than the global average to see the revenue growth of about 10%. That's double-digit growth. So really, simply by just codifying ethical conduct, right? By codifying ethical conduct, rather than just not doing so, is connected to your growth. Making further commitment, right, to digital trust by incorporating policies into your mission statements also correlates to digital trust and growth. And then add to it that, enacting the right AI policies, the technology and how you use it, and then sharing that information, being transparent about it with your consumer, also add to gaining digital trust, which is connected to your company's growth. So all of these things are important. And if you do them well, you would be successful, and that's what the McKinsey research study showed. So when you think about it, in this digitally connected world, achieving digital trust is really not like a good to have, but it's a must have, right? It's a strategic imperative for the organization. So it has to make it all the way to the top, right? To the corporate goals, not just like the IT team and the technologies team's goals. Later on in the week, we'll share a worksheet that's like a checklist that will help you measure up and scale where do you stand on digital trust. And by looking at it one by one, you'll be able to see where you have gaps and what your organization needs to do to actually invest in digital trust so you can earn the digital trust and then, enjoy the growth that correlates with it.
Yeah, it's a great worksheet. I hope you all download it. There's a lot of specificity in there to kind of see where you're standing and where you maybe want to go from here. But anyway, we'd like to thank you very much for your time, and we hope you found the topic interesting. And be sure to reach out to Ani or myself or anyone at CMO Syndicate if you want to talk further. And we hope you have a really wonderful day. So take care.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining.